Hello and good evening. It is time for our next edition of Star Trek Radio Theater here on Live Long and Podcast. Where on this show where we like to read some Star Trek scripts with some creative voices and bring in our Live and Long Podcast team. We got a great team and cast to break this down, including Heather Narduzzi, Chris Murphy, Adam Woodward, Jane Mader, Kevin Millard, Ashley Millard, and Davin Scalehorn. And we'll be reading through on this. You can follow along here. We'll be playing sound effects as you go, and make sure to leave comments. Let us know what you think of the episode. Tonight's episode is North Star from Star Trek Enterprise, this is during the Xindi crisis when the Enterprise is trying to find the Xindi and the Council of Doom. They come across a 19th century human era settlement placed in the middle of an area called the Expanse where they're looking for the Xindi. So, with no further background or setup, we'll jump into the episode and we hope you enjoy. All right, let's get this going. And I don't know. Maybe we'll go with this form. Oh, no, not that one. Let's go with this format. All right. And with that said, let's jump in on the queue. All right. We hope you enjoy the show.
We focus on a street at night. It's a western frontier town. 4 men on horseback ride down the street to a tree at the center of town. One has a noose around his neck.
Any last words?
One of the men tosses the loose end of the rope over the tree and tightens the noose around the soon-to-be dead man's neck.
Go to hell.
I didn't know Skags believed in hell.
The man, who appears to be the leader of the gang, lets the Skag sweat it out for a moment and then draws his pistol and fires it into the air. The horses spook and the gang rides off, leaving the Skag to his fate.
It's been a long road getting from there to here.
We focus on the frontier town. It's daytime. The Skag is dead and has been placed in a simple pine box coffin by the undertaker. McCready is overseeing.
Who's paying for the box?
The undertaker gestures towards a lady standing off to the side. McCready addresses her.
I hope you're not planning on burying him in the cemetery.
His people don't bury their dead, but I wouldn't expect you to know that.
I'm sorry I didn't get there in time to stop them.
What difference would it have made?
He'd have gotten a trial.
And the same people who lynched him would have been sitting on the jury.
Bethany, he killed a man. Self-defense or not, that's a hanging offense for a Skag.
The woman turns and walks away, disgusted. As she passes the hangman's tree, Archer, dressed in old-timey frontier fashion, tips his giant cowboy hat to her. She ignores him. Archer walks over to T'Pol, also clothed to fit in. She wears a long scarf tied around her head to hide her ears. It works, but it's no knitted cap.
What have you got?
I've confirmed that they're human. Their DNA is a perfect match.
Tucker joins them from a nearby building.
Looks pretty authentic, Captain. Right down to the spittoons.
And the hangings? If these people are from Earth, how the hell did they get here?
They head down an alleyway, and Archer pulls out his communicator.
Archer to Enterprise. Report.
We've scanned 90% of the surface. The human settlements are clustered within a few hundred kilometers of your location. About 6,000 people.
And the aliens?
Fewer than 1,000. The closest encampment is 10 kilometers northwest of your present position.
Any signs of technology, energy signatures, vessels?
None, sir. Our quantum scans put the earliest structures at over 250 years old.
That sounds about right.
But they're all constructed of materials indigenous to the planet.
Acknowledged.
Archer puts away his communicator and addresses his team.
I want you to go check out that alien settlement. See what you can find. There's no telling how anyone would react if you find out who we really are. Keep a low profile.
Aye, sir.
Tucker and T'Pol leave. Archer walks off in the opposite direction. We focus on the stables.
Morning.
Can I help you, folks?
I hope so. We need a horse.
What happened to yours?
Excuse me?
It's a long way from the next town. How'd you get here?
Our horses perished several miles north of your town from heat exhaustion.
Well, you're lucky the Sun Vipers didn't get you. Or those skags.
The stablehand gets a horse out of a stall.
Come on, this one here, 4 years old, good stock, $20, and she's yours.
Sounds kind of steep. Don't suppose he'd be interested in trade.
Well, that depends. What have you got to trade?
Tucker pulls a harmonica out of his pocket and begins to play it. Who tries to trade a harmonica for a horse?
I haven't seen one of these in years.
Well, look, I know it's not worth the horse, but we only need him for like a couple hours. We just need to ride out and grab our gear. We'll be back before you know it.
The stablehand seems unconvinced.
Well, how about I leave you my gun for collateral?
The stablehand tucks the harmonica into his pocket and takes the pistol. He gives it a close inspection and apparently likes what he sees.
You got yourself a deal.
He pats the horse and hands the reins over to Tucker.
Here, buddy. Go on, girl.
Trip leads the horse out of the stables while the stablehand tries the harmonica. Trip mounts the horse smoothly and offers his hand to T'Pol.
Do you have any experience riding these animals?
I've seen every John Western.
Who?
How hard can it be?
Trip pulls T'Pol up onto the horse and she settles in behind him.
Better hold on.
T'Pol wraps her arms around him as he attempts to get the horse moving. Eventually, the horse slowly begins to walk. I guess it's not as easy as it looks in the movies. We focus on a saloon. Archer enters. The place is smoky and dirty and utterly authentic. There are several men scattered throughout the saloon, drinking and playing cards. Archer heads over to the bar.
Afternoon.
What can I get you?
I'm passing through town. I was hoping I could sit in here for a while till it cools down.
Coffee's on the house?
Thanks, much obliged.
Where are you headed?
My brother's got a ranch down south. He said he could set me up with some work.
What's he raising? Blue horns?
How'd you know?
Lying down there's not good for much else.
Archer takes the hot coffee and looks at the portrait over the bar.
See the resemblance?
He takes a moment to inspect the painting and then read the name on the plaque under it.
Yeah, I do. You're not telling me you're related to Cooper Smith.
Smooth move, Archer.
Mm-hmm.
He's my ancestor.
I'll be damned.
Yep. You're looking at the only direct descendant of the man who overthrew the Skags.
I'll bet you've got some stories.
I got a few I could tell you.
Three men enter. They are the same men from the lynching the night before. The bartender doesn't look pleased to see them.
Friend of yours?
Not particularly.
How about a little service?
What will it be?
The gang settles in at a table.
Anything but that gut rot you were pouring yesterday.
The bartender puts a bottle and 3 glasses down on the bar. A young man with similar markings to the hangman grabs the bottle and glasses and delivers them to the table.
Why don't you join us?
You know I'm not allowed to do that, Mr. Bennings.
It's Deputy Bennings, and I can bend the local ordinance if I choose.
Bennings pushes a chair out from the table with his foot.
Have a seat.
The young man sits down nervously.
I imagine you could use a drink after what happened last night.
Bennings pours out 3 drinks.
Let's raise a glass to the dearly departed. To dead skags!
Bennings drinks from the bottle while the other 2 men from his crew drink from their glasses. The young man doesn't touch his drink.
Drink up.
Knowing when to listen, the young man picks up his glass and takes a sip. He immediately starts to cough.
I thought you people could hold your liquor. Your friend had a few in him last night when he killed Clay Stanton.
He didn't drink.
Beg your pardon?
He realizes he spoke out of turn and quickly gets up from the table.
I better get back to work.
Oh no, wait a minute. I don't think I heard you right. You're telling me a sober skag had the nerve to shoot a man? I find that hard to believe. Maybe you could demonstrate.
Bennings cocks his pistol and puts it on the table, spinning it so the handle is facing the boy.
Pick it up. Shoot me right here between the eyes. It's your golden opportunity. Don't pass it up.
The men at surrounding tables quickly vacate their tables.
I know you'd like to kill me. That's what all you skags want, isn't it? Go ahead. Or maybe you need to finish that drink first.
Archer gets up from the bar and extends his mug to the boy.
Excuse me. Think I can get some more coffee before you shoot him?
The boy takes the cup and scuttles away, grateful.
Who the hell are you?
Name's Archer.
Archer sits back down at the bar.
Well, Mr. Archer, you could learn a thing or two about manners.
Bennings picks up his gun again, stands up from the table, attempts to intimidate Archer, and then puts away his gun.
I don't like being interrupted in the middle of a conversation.
I'll keep that in mind.
The door to the saloon opens and McCready walks in.
Is there a problem here?
I was just having a drink with our friend Drasic, and this gentleman decided to butt in.
I saw you this morning at the Undertaker's. What's your business here?
Just passing through.
This skag a friend of yours?
I just wanted him to get me a cup of coffee.
It's a little hot for coffee, don't you think?
Maybe you're right.
Archer stands and turns to Bennings.
It's been a pleasure.
Archer leaves.
Keep an eye on him. Make sure he leaves town. And Bennings, leave the skag alone.
We focus on the Skag settlement. Night. There is a large wreckage of some sort. Trip and T'Pol are hiding in the bushes.
I'd estimate this vessel has been here for at least 2 centuries.
T'Pol starts to walk towards the settlement.
Where you going?
The captain said to learn whatever we could.
She also said to keep a low profile.
I plan to.
We focus on a schoolhouse. Bethany is tidying up when the door opens. Archer pokes his head in.
Didn't mean to startle you.
What do you want?
My name's Jonathan Archer. I saw you this morning, paying for that man's casket.
I don't know where you're from, Mr. Archer, but around here no one refers to a Skagaran as a man. If you'll excuse me,
Can I help you with that?
I'll manage.
It's no trouble.
I'll ask you again. What do you want?
I'd like to learn more about the Skagarans.
Everyone knows about the Skagarans.
There aren't any where I come from.
Where's that?
Up north. Quite a ways. Can you tell from my accent?
No, it's the same as mine. If certain people had their ways, there wouldn't be any around here either. I heard about what you did in that saloon today. Deputy Bennings has a nasty temper. Why would you risk getting thrown in jail? Maybe worse.
I don't think that Skagaran's life is any less valuable than mine.
So, what do you want with me?
Well, you are the teacher around here, aren't you? The first Skagaran I ever saw was today, lying in that coffin. Seems like I'd be more likely to get the truth from you than from the men who put him in there.
Would you like to meet more of them?
Mm-hmm.
Archer nods as Bethany picks up her bag and turns off the oil lamp. The two leave town in her carriage. Bennings and his crew watch them from the shadows. We focus on the Skagaran settlement. Bethany and Archer arrive. There are 3 Skagarans near the entrance of the settlement that look nervous about Archer's arrival.
It's all right.
Archer takes a look at the wreckage of the ship that the settlement is built in.
Captain,
T'Pol and Trip come around from the other side of the wreckage.
Bethany, these are the friends I told you about.
You're from up north, too?
that's correct.
The children will be here soon. You said you wanted to learn something, Mr. Archer. You're welcome to stay for the lesson.
Thanks.
Kinda late at night to be teaching school.
It's illegal to teach Skagarans.
She leaves.
A ship?
What's left of it?
T'Pol shows Archer some crystals.
We found these in a data module.
Go back to Enterprise, see what you can salvage.
You're not coming with us.
Don't want to miss my first day at school.
A little later, in a different part of the settlement, Bethany is teaching the kids.
9 times 12. Don't forget to carry the 1. Roll.
9 times 12 equals 108.
That's right. You're doing very well with your multiplication tables. Tomorrow night, we'll start with something a little more challenging. Long division. Kret, collect the slates, please. I've brought a friend with me who'd like to learn more about your people. Who can tell Mr. Archer how the humans and the Skagarans came to live together? Taliyah?
Our ancestors took the humans from their planet and brought them here
And when did they do that?
to make them work.
And why did they do that?
To make them work in the morning and in the evening.
But the humans didn't want to work for the Skagarans, did they?
No, we didn't.
Go on home now. Go on. It's all right.
The children flee.
I tried to warn you, Bethany. Teaching skags is a crime. You know that.
Nobody's being hurt here.
So you say, but I'm afraid the law is the law.
I thought you could bend the local ordinances.
That's true. But this is one I have no intention of bending.
Bennings' henchmen take a hold of Bethany.
Get away from me!
Archer grabs the henchman and punches him. This pisses off Bennings, who grabs Archer and punches him, knocking him to the ground.
Sheriff gave you a chance to leave town. You should have taken it.
Bethany and Archer are hauled away. We focus on the sheriff's office. There's a noise outside. The deputy on duty goes to investigate.
Get away from there. Go on now.
Archer and Bethany are locked up in a cell. Bethany tends to Archer's injuries.
Best I can do.
Thanks. What's going to happen to you now?
Don't worry. This isn't the first time the sheriff and I hadn't seen eye to eye.
You didn't get to finish your lesson. I'd like to hear the rest of it.
You know the story. Everyone does.
Everyone seems to have their own version. I'm curious to hear the way you teach it to the Skagarans. That wreck at their settlement, was that their ship?
They used it 300 years ago to go to Earth and bring our ancestors back here. They were building colonies. They needed workers.
You mean slaves?
It was a terrible crime.
Tell me about Cooper Smith.
That's where the stories differ somewhat. To the humans, he's a folk hero, our liberator. I'm sure that's what you were taught, but the Skagarans, they call him Raktar. It means butcher. He and his men burned the Skagaran ship, destroyed their weapons. They murdered most of them, entire families. Have you heard that version? Smith wrote the first laws that kept the Skagarans from going to school, owning property, even marrying.
So they could never enslave the humans again.
That's how they justified it. Men like Bennings are happy to carry on the tradition.
The cell door opens and Bennings appears.
Sheriff wants to talk to you.
Archer and Bennings leave. We focus on a barber shop. The sheriff is having his stubble carefully removed with a straight razor.
Care for a shave, Mr. Archer?
No, thanks.
You sure? There ain't nothing like a barber shave to make a man feel civilized.
I feel civilized enough.
Suit yourself. Thanks, Henry.
Anytime, Sheriff.
The barber leaves him. McCready gets up and crosses the room.
Have a seat. Skagaran whiskey. It's illegal, but I've let Henry keep a bottle around for pulling teeth.
He pours 2 shots.
Packs a hell of a wallop. Thought you were heading south to raise blue horns.
That's the plan.
Then maybe you can tell me why you were out in Skagtown in the middle of the night.
That a crime?
My deputy says you and Miss Bethany were teaching those children. That's a crime.
But if I decided to lynch a Skagaran, that be legal?
The law was laid down a long time ago to protect men like you and me.
Protect us from what? Children?
You really want those children to learn how to read, how to do their numbers, all 13 of them? And then maybe they can learn about how they used to be in charge around here, how they had guns that could kill a man with a beam of light, and the human beings were nothing but their labor force, their property. Is that what you want those children to learn, Mr. Archer?
You're judging them on something that happened over 200 years ago.
And it's my job to make sure it never happens again. Now, I'm not saying it's fair. It's just the way it's always been. I expect you to be out of town in an hour.
What's going to happen to Bethany?
She's been warned. She knew the consequences. Minimum sentence is 10 years.
We focus on Main Street. It's bustling as the townfolk go about their business. Archer watches quietly from an alleyway and then pulls out his communicator.
Archer to Enterprise.
Go ahead, Cap.
Any luck with those data modules?
Several of them were damaged, but we managed to access some of the logs.
I'm still working on the translation, sir.
I'll meet you at the landing coordinates in an hour. There's something I have to do first.
Archer leaves the alley and heads down Main Street. We focus on the sheriff's office. Bennings is gazing lustfully at Bethany in the cell when there's a knock on the door.
Shit. Knock, knock, knock.
Bennings opens the door. It's Archer.
Gotta do the line first.
I was on my way out of town and I realized I forgot something.
He punches Bennings twice, takes the keys and his gun, and opens the cell door.
What are you doing?
It's called a jailbreak where I come from.
It's called that here, too. Where do you expect me to go?
Archer drags Bennings inside the cell.
There are other settlements. I'm sure they could use a good teacher.
Things won't be any different there.
Maybe not, but you won't be spending 10 years in prison.
He locks Bennings in the cell, and they leave. Sometime later, McCready returns to the jail and finds Bennings locked in the cell. He's awake now and bleeding.
It was Archer.
McCready lets him out, and they go into the street, weapons drawn. We focus on Main Street.
They couldn't have gotten far. Get Nash and Franklin.
As Archer and Bethany make a dash for it in her carriage, Bennings shoots her and she falls to the ground. Archer stops the carriage and runs to her. McCready stares in disbelief at what has just happened. Bennings is pleased. Archer pulls out his communicator.
Archer at Enterprise. Lock the transport onto my position. There are two of us.
Drop that, whatever it is.
The pair are beamed away. McCready still carries his look of disbelief. Bennings is furious. He runs over to where Archer and Bethany just were and picks up a handful of sand as if he's gonna find them under it. We focus on sickbay. Bethany is on the operating table and Phlox is working. Archer and T'Pol are watching.
Did anyone see you transport?
I didn't exactly have time to find a secluded spot.
These are volatile and suspicious people. Your disappearance may have consequences.
I removed the projectile, but her injuries were extensive.
Will she make it?
I believe so. There are a few things about her physiology I still don't understand.
What do you mean?
Aren't you familiar with this woman's ancestry? The cranial genes are recessive, which explains her human appearance. My guess is they came from her maternal grandmother. She's 1/4 Skagaran.
We focus on the sheriff's office. Bennings and McCready are talking.
You heard the same story as me. Cooper Smith said the Skags could move through thin air from one place to another.
Maybe you ought to get your eyes checked, Bennings. Archer's a human.
He's working with him.
You don't know that.
What was he doing out in Skagtown? Why'd he stick up for Drasek in that saloon yesterday?
'Cause you were being a horse's ass. Smelling like one, too.
We all smell like one. And who was he talking to on that little box he had? It was the Skags. They helped him escape. This is what we were afraid of, Mac. They're trying to take over again. It's time to put an end to this.
I smell like a fresh barber shave. You have something in mind?
I say we ride out there tonight and burn them out. I guarantee there'll be plenty of volunteers.
Now you listen to me. I'm not going to murder those people just because some stranger spooked you with a parlor trick. Now, if I get some proof that the Skagarans are up to something, I'll take care of it.
You've always been too soft on him, Mac.
And you've always harassed them while I look the other way, and that's going to change right now. As long as you work for me, our job is to enforce the law. Understood?
Understood.
Bennings takes off his badge, holds it up to McCready's face, and drops it on the floor, and walks out. We focus on the Enterprise. Hoshi, Archer, Trip, T'Pol, and Travis are talking.
The story she told you was basically true, Captain. The Skagaran ship brought them here to provide labor for a colony they were trying to establish.
They apparently found the humans suited to survive in this environment.
There are lots of reports of disciplinary problems, and then 6 months after they arrive, the logs end.
They kidnapped the wrong people.
But what do we do? They're humans. We can't just leave them here.
We can't transport 6,000 people back to Earth.
Once we've dealt with the Zindi, we'll come back here. Do what we can to help them. For now, they deserve to know that Earth hasn't abandoned them.
We focus on Main Street. The locals watch as Shuttle Pod 1 comes in and lands. McCready has his hand on his gun as Archer, T'Pol, Reed, and 3 Makos get out. Archer addresses McCready.
We need to talk.
We focus on the sheriff's office.
And you were born there?
I was born in upstate New York. Spent most of my adult life in San Francisco, though. You've heard of San Francisco?
Pacific Coast. Why didn't you tell us who you were?
I wasn't sure how you'd react. That's why I had to blend in with that accent. We thought we'd be, get better with the lay of the land first.
Well, I can't say I blame you. A part of me never believed Earth even existed. I thought it was something people made up because they couldn't stand living here. You taking us back?
We can't. Not right now. Anyway, our ship isn't big enough. Someday we'll come back for you. Probably. You realize it's not the same world your ancestors left. A lot's changed in 300 years.
You're telling me.
We've moved past things like intolerance and prejudice.
The Skagarans abducted my ancestors, Captain. Turned them into slaves.
That was a long time ago.
Well, we tend to have a long memory when it comes to that sort of thing.
We focus on Main Street. There's a small gathering of townsfolk milling about. The away team stays close to the pod.
The captain's been in there for quite a while.
I imagine the sheriff has a lot of questions.
Yes.
We focus on the sheriff's office.
We did what we had to do.
I understand, but if you do make it back to Earth, you're going to have to leave that all behind.
We focus on Main Street. Archer and McCready come out of his office and walk through the little crowd that has gathered near the pod.
It's all right. These folks aren't going to hurt anybody.
This is my first officer, T'Pol. She's from a planet called Vulcan.
Pleased to meet you.
Ma'am.
Dr. Phlox reports that his patient is doing much better.
Good. I thought we'd bring Mr. McCready.
Bennings, who has hid behind the building, emerges with a gun. They shot the sheriff. McCready drops to the ground.
Have your men drop those guns.
Let's talk through this, Bennings.
I never was one for talking.
His men take up crossfire positions as Reed and the Makos take up defensive ones, but Archer stays firm.
Trust me, you don't want to pick a fight with us, Deputy.
Should have thought of that before you threw in with the skags.
We're not taking sides here.
Then where'd you get that machine and those weapons?
These people are from Earth, Bennings.
Earth, you're lying.
I can prove it to you. Just give me a chance.
One of Bennings' men decides to provoke a shot from Reed. Reed stuns a gunman in a window who rolls down the roof to the ground. This sets off a gunfight. Archer and T'Pol get McCready to safety behind the shuttle pod, while Reed takes a position behind the water trough. Cole uses her rifle sight to take out another gunman in a window. The Starfleet phase pistols and rifles hit nothing.
Come on, lay down some fire.
Archer makes a dash towards Bennings, taking out one henchman with his phase pistol. Archer cuts into the balcony above him, causing another of Bennings' men to fall through. He stuns him at point-blank range. A gunshot is heard from behind him, and Archer takes a bullet to the shoulder. Bennings struggles with his gun, and this gives Archer a chance to run away. Bennings follows. They're in the stables. Bennings is looking for Archer, who appears above him and takes him out by jumping on him. A fist fight ensues. Back on Main Street, the gunfight is still going on. Cole takes out another guy while Reed does literally nothing. Quite typical. Suddenly, a noise from behind them. A cowboy has grabbed T'Pol and holds her in front of him like a Vulcan shield. Reed turns toward them, phaser raised.
Stay back! I'll kill her!
Reed stuns T'Pol with his phaser, and the cowboy drops her, astonished. Reed stuns him too. He turns to the Makos.
This is Reed. I'm just as good as you, Makos. Secure the area. Find the captain.
The Makos disagree and scatter. We focus on the stables. Archer and Bennings are still fighting. Archer finally manages to knock him down and grab his discarded gun. He points the gun at Bennings, and the fight has ended. We focus on the briefing room. Bethany is gazing out of the large window. Archer enters.
We're up too high to see it, but your town is down there, towards the right edge of that mountain range. How are you feeling?
I feel fine. Not even a scar.
Dr. Phlox does excellent work.
You must think we're barbaric. All the things humanity's accomplished. Building ships like this. Traveling to other worlds. And we're still down here, down there, shooting each other.
There's progress on Earth. It didn't happen overnight.
But it was progress all the same. You've managed to change. We haven't. Even if you could take us back, I don't think we're ready.
Like, it's weird that you haven't changed your fashion or technology or anything in a couple centuries, but it may be a while before we're able to start sending ships here. My guess is by the time they arrive, they'll find things have changed.
I think you're giving us too much credit.
Probably, but it's already happening. I spoke with McCready. He agrees that in light of recent events, some of your laws might be a little outdated.
We focus on the schoolroom. Bethany is teaching a mixed class of human and Skagaran children. She has a pad in her hands. McCready is standing in the doorway.
Before people could travel through space to other planets, they had to get off the ground first. Almost 40 years after my human ancestors left Earth, two brothers from Ohio became the first beings to build a successful flying machine. Their names were Orville and Wilbur Wright. Would anyone like to see a picture of their airplane? You all would. Well, here it is. Right here. And you can see here's Orville Wright and his brother Wilbur is flying the plane. Now this is the machine that actually made
Yeah, I guess we're meant for that to be like a voiceover, so like you're supposed to meant to like. I mean, I need to play the sound clip.
that actually made.
Yeah. I think I meant to maybe start playing the sound of a clip before you actually finish the sentence. In that case, well, that concludes our reading of North Star from Star Trek Enterprise's 3rd season. What a cowboy tale! I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jane Mader. I was Captain Archer, who was also impersonating a cowboy Archer on the planet. I don't know if you picked up on that, guys. That he was.
I did.
And a little Southern Belle.
Yeah, a little Southern Belle. He was trying to romance. What was your name?
Bethany.
Bethany. So, and now you're the school teacher teaching this guy. He's got you out of prison, so that was pretty good on me.
Sweet.
Great cast. Of course, let's bring in first our new radio theater producer. It's Heather Narduzzi playing the part of T'Pol, and I believe one of the little Skag children.
Taliyah, if you're nasty.
Taliyah. Yes, there you go. Coming in with a big old hat, as big, not quite as big as Jonathan Archer's, but it's Adam Woodward, who was playing several roles. Who were you all in this, Adam? You were Lieutenant Reed, Mayweather, Stablehand, and young Drasik. You're muted.
Oh, is it 9:00? Did he lose his?
No, I'm here. I'm just unmuted. I'm just so happy to be Mayweather, and he had his one line. Just to keep him in.
Contractually, he was obligated to have at least one line in the episode. Yeah. We got Davin Skellhorn along with a kitty who was playing many roles. Most notably, McCready, I think, was like the biggest one. But you were many. Dr. Phlox, you were Ural, you were the deputy, and the initial Skag who was murdered, lynched.
All that kerfuffle, and took Malcolm Reed 30 seconds to save the day. 2 phaser shots.
Yeah. She did not shoot the deputy. The deputy actually shot the sheriff in this story.
Your Phlox was spot on.
It was great. But
you just gotta kind of do one of those kind of.
Yeah, it was good.
I know that it was only one line, but your little like Skagaran student kid sounded like Ralphie if he was doing an impression of Mrs. Krabappel.
I'm in danger.
Like Ralphie if he was a heavy smoker.
I was in danger.
We had Ashley Millard as our narrator for the story, making sure to point out all of Reed's inadequacies, which was
I will always point out
Too many.
inadequacies.
Too many.
And I will always welcome them.
the man who was playing Reed tonight, along with our villain for the episode, Kevin Millard, Deputy Bennings. Maybe he went to prison, hopefully for at least 10 years for murder, among other things. But but great job, Kevin. You and I were tossing it up. I was punching you like
repeatedly.
Repeatedly, and sometimes before the door even opened. So and I apologize for losing that knock knock sound effect. I kind of threw that whole scene
No, that was great.
No, that was
knock knock.
It was more like oh shit,
knock knock.
I missed the knock knock sound effect. And coming in last here, it's Chris Worldmind Murphy. He was Commander Tucker, as well as Bartender, Cowboy, and Barber. Yes, when I watched the episode, I was like, Murphy's almost got the same voice as this Barber. He was born to play this Barber with the shade. So great job, everybody. And this was a kind of a smaller cast because the story didn't really need that many parts.
My Barber had a name, I'll tell you that. Henry.
Actually, you're right. He does call him by name like twice, at least in the so Henry the Barber. We'll fix that in the credits afterwards.
Henry erasure here.
A Henry Archer, father of Jonathan Archer. But how about Jonathan Archer with his undercover skills?
Excellent.
Blended in. He's from up north.
No one would know. No one would know.
With a southern accent.
Here the north is like the south. It's how it goes. I had a lot of fun, and so when we covered this episode on Star Trek Enterprise on that rewatch podcast, we're kind of like, this episode feels misplaced in terms of like the bigger arc of the Xindi, and
Still feel that way. But
you know what? I don't care. I was like, they'll figure out the Xindi thing. We got to be cowboys now.
You know what? He promised he'd come back. I don't think he ever did.
Yeah, there's no indication they ever did, but maybe I was like, maybe we will. I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know what happened with the Xindi. As you all know, I have not watched Enterprise other than trying the pilot a couple of times. So let me tell you, this was fun. Campy, cowboys. Let's go do some weird shit. Who cares about the Xindi? Woo!
Exactly.
Get a hat.
Get a
scarf.
Get a big old hat. Get a scarf around the head. I also love the you paying homage to Paul's headwear in the episode there, Heather. Sorry you haven't mentioned that yet.
It's a bit more glittery than she would choose, I think.
Do you like the costuming overall in this episode?
I mean, everything's so washed out on Enterprise. Can we get a bit of color, please? Everything's beige. Maybe it was a beige planet, though. Skagarin seems like a pretty dull thing.
Yeah.
But T'Pol did get to wear a cool scarf and like a frilly blouse.
Yeah, it wasn't like the greatest outfit for her, in her case, perhaps. And Bethany's was kind of,
Bethany had kind of like a milkmaid chic schoolmarm fantasy going on there.
Yeah. And the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're mostly authentic, I guess. But like you're kind of like, okay, so in 300 years you haven't like changed at all. You're basically like been because it was only like 10 years of slavery, right, before they had the rebellion or something like that. And so they were like, we're going to just be cowboys forever. And like, I guess because in the on Earth, technological advancement kind of changed all that very fast. Like the Wild West was like maybe like a 10 to 20 year period of history. But they have coffee, they have harmonicas, they have horses, photography, I guess, and various technologies. So it's kind of like I was like, I almost want to know what the hell happened, with Cooper and all that, But anyway, the kitties.
I want to know why, if the Skagarins had all of this advanced technology, why they didn't adopt it when they overthrew them.
Apparently Cooper and his gang burned it all down. Like that was so. I don't know. Like you think you'd keep the weapons at least or something.
They just want to grow tomatoes instead of replicating them.
Right.
Do you know how hard it is to grow tomatoes?
Well, depends who you ask. Eddington will tell you it's not easy. But Kevin, you've grown tomatoes.
Yeah, I have. Without trying, it is not difficult.
I'm sure Davin has also grown tomatoes.
Well, that's true. Davin, you've grown a tomato too, right?
Oh yeah.
What time we got
He's probably grown more tomatoes than we have.
About seven varieties this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I know I have that here somewhere.
Do you know how hard it is to grow tomatoes?
Well, you need soil.
Second
Now,
doggo.
sorta.
He explains it.
Do you know how hard it is to grow tomatoes? There's always too much rain.
How many
or not
dogs
enough.
do you
It's too
have,
hot,
Adam?
It's too cold. I wonder what happened to those tomato plants.
What happened to his tomato plants?
All right, bring in number 3. He's calling it over. He's calling number 3 over right now.
Oh, the animals.
Yeah, he's rotating dogs.
Yeah, our cats are not interested right now. Normally, like when Jane's in here for a radio thing, they're often like going, "What the hell are you doing?" In here?"
Oh, twins!
Look at those ponies.
Yes. Jaden. Oh, anyway, well.
No, not
Anyway, well, I guess that was a quick read, eh? Like it didn't take us too long to jump through that story. Anyway,
To work at pet value, you need to have a minimum of 3 dogs in sweaters.
And cats.
Sweaters.
And cats.
The sweaters are mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to be coming back with another edition of Star Trek Radio Theater about a month's time. We're not quite exactly sure what date we're doing yet, but it's kind of tentatively set for the end of December, and we're going to be doing Star Trek Generations.
Time is the fire in which we burn.
Well, that's what one man thinks, So we're going to hopefully, as the movies have just so many more parts to go around and it's so much longer of a script, we're going to be bringing the greater Live Long and Podcast family here, in for that. And watch out for when we get the cast announcement together. We're still piecing that together. Some special guests, hopefully, if that can all work out. And it's going to be a Christmas miracle because I love the doll, Papa. She's so beautiful.
Oh, Papa. Beautiful.
Cup of Earl Grey.
A cup of Earl Grey.
Oh, I'm going to do the big hair. Oh. Remember,
I feel like
the
we're just
big
doing the movie
Christmas
now.
hair?
Yeah, maybe we should just jump into, we're on.
Can we have plum pudding for dessert, please, Papa?
There's a bottle of Chateau Picard heading for the Enterprise B. It writes itself, really. Well, I guess it already was written.
So we don't have a
'cause
date
it's
yet,
already
but we will definitely do it on Tuesday.
Yeah, it will happen at least by Tuesday.
Better happen on a Tuesday.
We don't know which Tuesday, but we
Next
know.
Tuesday.
Next
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. We'll get the tractor beams installed and everything else. So look out for that, everybody. Of course, all of our great content here on Live Long and Podcast. Last night, Davin and Dave were on talking about the great monologues or the speeches of Star Trek.
There's a distinction we made between
Okay.
those two things.
Check that out to find out what the distinction is.
Well, Huxley, I made him define
Were you voting
speeches.
for
It
which
took
one
like
was
5
best?
minutes. What?
Were you voting which one was best?
We ranked them 10 to 1.
Rank them? Okay.
10-1. Okay, well, go check that out, everybody. What else is Star Trek known for, if not the speeches and maybe, I don't know, aliens and stuff?
Maybe we cried, maybe we didn't. You have to watch the whole thing to find out.
Of course. We just had the Class L probe last week, the Sim of Innocence under the Science banner, which was an interesting podcast for me. We got into all kinds of great Enterprise-related topics. So if you're an Enterprise fan, go listen
Norman's
to that.
right. It was not all Picard. It wasn't just 10 Picard speeches.
Yeah, Picard's got to be like how many in that top 10 was he there though?
You want me to tell you?
Just roughly.
He got on there 3 times.
3 times. Okay. Well, that's lower than I would have thought, but you think there's so many great speeches in Star Trek. So much great writing. What else, guys? We're on every Monday night to talk about the Orville. And we'll be talking. We got an episode tomorrow. What episode are we doing tomorrow, guys? We're doing.
It's not okay. I'm not going to say too much, but I started watching it. It's not my favorite.
Lasting impressions tomorrow. I remember really liking this one, so it would be interesting. I haven't watched it though in 6 years. I think you're trying to color my opinion in advance, Adam. I don't know. So we're gonna get into it tomorrow night.
We've had 3 good weeks if you count the 2 together, and
it might be 4 great weeks in
You're
a
right.
row.
It might redeem itself in the last 30 minutes. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if it does or not. We'll be talking about that on every Thursday. We're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks. We just did Of Gods and Angles this past Thursday, episode 6 of this last season of Star Trek Lower Decks, and we got another one coming up this Thursday. So look out for that. We just covered something called 765-874 Unification.
All right, I'm out of here.
So you know,
The middleman.
we won't get into too much about it, but you know,
He left.
you may not want to read the comment section. Is all I can say. So it's, but it was me and Adam and Davin talking about this interesting sort of deep fake slash, I don't know, like post Generations, Star Trek Generations scene or something.
We'll recreate it after we do Generations on the next radio theater.
Well,
as a
because
coda.
there's no dialogue, so we'll be
There's no dialogue.
It would just
Perfect.
be the narrator
It's
going,
perfect for radio.
and then Kirk makes a face, and then
And then
like,
he
Spock-
walks through a doorway.
You can recreate with a transcript of what we said and see how that goes.
And then they hold hands, which is the Vulcan equivalent of kissing. Ah, mwah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've moved on.
It's
from
a
that
beautiful,
conversation.
precious flower. Speak no more.
Yes. We loved it, and we totally get it, and we have no questions. So it's at the end of that. So with all that said, check out all our great content. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and look out for our next edition of Radio Theater. And check out everything on the United Federation of Podcasts. And we were on today, Trivial Debates. I was talking Starship Troopers with Murphy and Jameel Robinson, Justin Vaughn, and what was his on-screen name? Shijumi was our host. It was a great episode, and we have a special appearance maybe from somebody from the film Starship Troopers shows up on this episode, so look out for that. Special delivery of Chris Murphy. Thank you, and thanks to everyone in the live comments. Make sure to tell us what you think and give us other suggestions.
Did you get Rico on there because you play video games with him, Murphy? You did. You sly dog.
Yeah, he may or may not have said Trivial Debates. Is this a trivia show? So it was, but it was great no matter what. So thanks to Murphy for pulling that all together, and and check out all the great stuff we have here. And with that, good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Live long and podcast.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.